What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas back with you. News 6 weather tonight. We are talking about temperatures surging for the weekend. Do me a favor, post in the comments where you're tuning in from this evening. We'll talk about the comments and your questions a little bit later on in the show. Give you guys a shout out as we go forward. We are live on News 6 Plus and on the News 6 YouTube stream. Hope everybody is doing well this evening. We have a lot to break down in the 30 minutes that we are hanging out together. So we are going to get right to it. Of course, the storm chances are on the lower side tonight. There's one lone lightning strike that we are going to take a look at in just 1 second. Coming up on the show, big pattern change. It's been kind of a weird 10-day stretch. Of course, we had that quasi-tropical disturbance. It wasn't really tropical just yet, but it brought us a ton of rain, as we all know, at least most of Central Florida. Monday into Tuesday, really maybe just Monday. And then we're going to talk about the drought monitor. Yeah, we had a lot of rain, but there are still some spots across Central Florida that are still technically in a drought, even after all of the rain that we got on Monday. So we're going to break down where we're still in that drought status. Then we're going to talk tropics. What if I told you that Invest 93L, okay, it's gone. It's over. The fat lady has sung that final note on Invest 93L. It's not going to develop. But some of its moisture could come back around to Florida by the time we get into the middle stages of next week. That is related to the huge heat that is coming down the pipeline for tomorrow and then really surging for the weekend. Really cool weather pattern that I'm going to break down for you. It's likely going to give us the hottest stretch again of weather that we've seen so far this summer. And then at the end of the show, our final 5 or 6 minutes, give or take, we are going to take your comments and questions, and that is when the show can get off the rails a little bit, which is what I love. What's going on, Kelly? Hope you're doing well tonight. Hope you're doing well. Elizabeth, Melissa, hope you're doing well. Kevin, good evening, my friend. Hope everybody's doing well. Again, post in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you're watching on News 6 Plus, a lot of people, from what I've been told, dial it up on News 6 Plus on the big screen. Again, that is a free download on your smartphone or your smart TV. And then dial up the YouTube channel on their cell phone and then post the comments in that so that we can do stuff like this and pull over comments. And Kevin says he is doing all right this evening. Okay, so we are going to get to it. There's a lot to break down before we get to our first small break there. I thought there would be more storms around tonight through the 75 corridor. The thing that happened, the West Coast sea breeze did not put up a fight tonight. It allowed everything to the west, and it slid off the Gulf Coast, and that was that. We just had a few storms hanging on in Marion County over the last 30 or so minutes or so. Now we just have some teeny tiny sprinkles falling at this hour in Marion County. We should be dry for the rest of this evening, and I think this is the start now of a very atypical weather pattern across Central Florida going forward. I want to show you this. Every Thursday, the drought monitor comes out from the United States Department of Agriculture, NOAA, as they look over the soil moisture, the weather patterns, all this stuff to figure out, okay, where is there a drought? I'm happy to report that we have gotten rid of the severe drought status across all of Central Florida. We were hanging on in parts of Brevard County, from Melbourne to Palm Bay to Mico. We are still in a drought, though, moderate drought at that, in parts of Marion County, and then that small sliver of Brevard County from about Satellite Beach to Mico. So that's where we're still hanging on to a drought, believe it or not. The I-4 corridor has been wiped clean. We're technically abnormally dry in parts of Sumter, Lake, Marion. Remember, that's where we had that extreme drought earlier in the spring, April into May. And then parts of Flagler County. So we're recovering from that still. I would have to think that by next week, most of this, if not all of this, is gone. Although we are going to be on the super dry side, again, acharacteristically speaking, for Central Florida standards in July. So I want to show you going forward now this high resolution radar, future radar going forward, just to show you again how little there's going to be in terms of rainfall activity over the next couple of days. This is 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. I think we'll wake up sunshine. We're good to go. Nice and dry tomorrow. Early in the afternoon, here's lunchtime. I still think we're looking pretty good. And then we'll pop a few thunderstorms. This is really it, guys. I mean, if you're west of Orlando, especially, that's the relatively speaking best opportunity for a few thunderstorms. But man, by and large, most of us are going to be on the drier side once we get into tomorrow. I think this is overdone. I'm confident in saying that there may be a stray thunderstorm around at 9 o'clock tomorrow. But boy, I really, really think that this is going to be overdone. High temperatures tomorrow. This is, again, Friday's kind of like our transition period from a kind of couple of normal days for July standards in Central Florida, and then back to some weird days. So we were weird on the wet side to start with that kind of all-day washout rain through most of the region on Monday. Kind of normal days Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit of Thursday, a little bit of today. And now kind of weird as we're going to be heading back into this drier pattern. And here's the reason for it. There's high pressure at the surface that's helping to carve away some drier air as well. But also in the mid-levels of our atmosphere, we have a huge, huge chunk of high pressure at about 15 to 20,000 feet above our head. These guys here, these promote air to sink. When air sinks, it not only warms up, it dries out. So we're going to be drying the atmosphere from the top down, and we are going to be warming our atmosphere from the top down. So the trifecta, there's only two things there. So the double-edged sword, if you will, as we get into the weekend, it's going to be super dry to not give us much relief from the heat. And this thing is going to generate its own heat by itself. So watch what happens. That area of high pressure basically sits on top of us on Saturday. It slides to the North Gulf Coast on Monday. We're still under its influence. It's still going to be super hot. And then it kind of works its way up towards the Mississippi River Valley, western Tennessee, and into Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas. I want you to pay attention to that pattern. And I'm going to play it again because this is going to come back in our tropical section coming up in just 1 second. Okay, so remember this pattern. Everybody give a thumbs up if you're remembering this pattern. It starts here. And the other important thing that I want you to remember is that airflow around high pressure is clockwise. Okay? So if there was something to be around this entity, it would tend to push it around and bring it back. So there's a method to my madness, twofold here. This is bringing us the heat, but this also has the potential to swing around the moisture from what was Invest 93L back to Florida by the early stages of next work week. So some cool stuff. And again, it's all connected. That's why I think the weather is so cool. Alrighty, guys, I have to hit a quick break. Please post in the comments where you're tuning in from. Let me know if you are a first-time viewer of the show. I would love to know if you are here for the first time, if you're here for the 40th time. I don't know how many shows we've done now. It's been several months since we've been hanging out together at 10 o'clock, now at 9:30. So please post in the comments where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions or comments, whether it's on topic of today's topics or off, post those in the comments as well. When we come back from our break at about 9:50, that's whenever we get into the nitty-gritty and we answer those questions. So please let me know where you're tuning in from. I'll see you in about 3 minutes. That was like perfect timing with that drum solo there at the end of the music. That was not even planned. What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas back with you as the show rolls on. We're coming at you live on the free News 6 Plus app and also on the News 6 YouTube page. Thanks so much for being here. We are talking all things weather. Of course, the huge heat builds for the weekend. We are going to move on to some of the tropics. It's all over. Clap, 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 clap. That is what's left of the disturbance known as Invest 93L. Again, Invest isn't a real disturbance. It's a tag that the Hurricane Center gives whenever they're going to pay extra attention. The hurricane models run. So it's kind of like a little, it's like a pet peeve of my own. It's like Invest 93L is bringing this. It's got that weird tag for a reason because that's whenever extra attention is paid to the storm or to the disturbance. Here it is right there. It's still bringing flooding rain to parts of Louisiana. Still a lot of lightning tonight. That is the disturbance again that's going to continue to lift north and then potentially back to the east and then down to the potentially to the Florida Peninsula again. So there it is. Again, it's completely off the map, 0% shot to develop as it's completely on land, and it is not going to get back over water maybe until early next week, whenever it tries to work its way back into the Florida Peninsula. Remember I said to remember the motion of that high pressure. Everybody remember that? Because it's for this moment that I wanted to show you this. So we're gonna have that big chunk of high pressure just baking us this weekend. Okay, I mean it is gonna be baking us this weekend. So pay attention to this really big, bright bubble of purple. This is the atmospheric moisture. The darker the color, so the more red it is, and then certainly when you get to that purple color, that's the tropical moisture associated with that disturbance that used to be Invest 93L. Follow it up like this, okay? It's going to do one of these and then work its way back to where it was last week. Okay, I'm going to put this into motion now. Ready? Watch that purple. So it kind of gets strung out a little bit. It loses a little bit of its oomph, and then there it is. There's Tuesday, July 22nd, and we have that bubble of strong atmospheric moisture that has been kind of ripped apart a little bit as it's kind of gone up and around that area of high pressure. And then there it goes further back into where it kind of was. So rain chances are expected to spike again after our multi-day period of relatively dry weather that comes around starting tomorrow and then to an even bigger degree Saturday and Sunday. So elsewhere in the deep tropics, no new development is expected over the next 7 days. So we are doing that as well. Yeah, Elizabeth, she mentions Invest 93L. It's a stupid name. I agree, and that's why I don't like referring to it as Invest 93L. It's not really a name. It's just a special tag that's really used for internal purposes for the Hurricane Center to keep track and to run their specialized hurricane models on, so that we get the better. It just means area of investigation. On the Atlantic side, it has the L. So like in the Eastern Pacific, they're E. And then on the Atlantic side, they're L. And then they start at number 90, go to 99, and then they just go across. So we'll probably see another 93 later on in the season. But it's mainly for a kind of an internal tag. But nonetheless, that's why it's there. So no new development is expected over the next 7 days. Here's where we stand now, and this is going to be something interesting to watch in the coming weeks. There's a little bit of an indication, and I don't know if I'm buying it yet, that we're going to start to see these African waves come off. We have one tropical wave here. I mean, it's not impressive by any means. It's just a little itty-bitty guy. There's another complex of thunderstorms over Africa. 'Tis the season now that, climatologically speaking, we do see these complexes of thunderstorms roll across the African continent and then start to work their way back out into the main development region of the Atlantic. There is nothing concerning at this point. Over the next 10 days, this is through next Thursday, I believe. So next 7 days, European ensembles are giving a slight opportunity for that secondary wave to try and develop out there. Okay, so remember that. We're going to go back to the satellite image, and I'm going to show you one thing. So there are the two waves. Okay. Everybody know the Undertaker meme? Where like the Undertaker, there's something positive, and then like the Undertaker is in the back with like the negative thing. So like that's kind of how I envision this here. It's like, oh, the wave is first like juicy wave of the season coming through. Okay, there it is. And then here's the Undertaker meme. Saharan dust. Look at all that dust that is to follow. I mean, that would again, dust isn't the end all be all. It doesn't completely vaporize. It's not like a Thanos snap or anything where it just completely vaporizes everything out there. But it becomes really, really hard for these disturbances to develop and thrive when not only is there dust, but this whole layer known as the Saharan air layer, it's dry, it's hot, it's dusty, it's stable. And all of that kind of combines to work its way against any kind of tropical development out there. The one thing that is interesting, and before I take a quick break, the main development region has warmed up significantly from where it's been really. Yeah, WWE Undertaker. There's a meme. You should Google the Undertaker meme, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. For the first time really all season, the main development region is getting back to above normal in the temperature department. It's always been warm, but it's been cooler by a little bit, cooler than normal. It's starting to warm things up now. We're getting into the latter stages of July. We're heading into August. 'Tis the season for that to happen. Post your comments, post your questions. There is a ton in there that we are going to answer on the other side of this break. If you don't have a question, just pop into the chat to say hello, where you're tuning in from tonight. We'll give you a shout out anyway. Again, post your comments. We are back in just 3 short minutes. Alrighty, guys, we are back. A lot of good questions, a lot of good comments in the chat again. You guys never fail the live chat tonight. Hope everybody is doing okay. All right, so the first question up tonight, Eric, he says that asked this: does the Saharan dust affect weather radars in the sense that they may stick to them physically and interfere with readings? They do not, and really anything on the radar, since it's like a nice little pulse. The radar is actually inside that giant golf ball. So that big golf ball, the radome, protects the radar from anything. The dust, for the most part, is suspended about 5 to 20,000 feet up. So more often than not, the only kind of time you're going to see the dust close to the surface, unless you're like around the Cabo Verde Islands or sometimes the Caribbean, when it is much, much thicker and lower to the surface, is when it rains at the same time it's dusty and you get those little dirt marks. We had another round of that across a lot of Florida earlier this year when we had one of those thick Saharan dust outbreaks earlier into the season. Kelly asking, the temperature in the water in the future can be gauged. It can. I think. Are you meaning like on a forecast? It can. There are certainly models out there to do that. That's how one of the ways we can characterize. Okay, if there's going to be an El Nino or La Nina, because that's going to all do with the fact that the water temperatures. So there's kind of forecasts with the wind and the trade winds, if they're backing off, if they're strengthening, and then model forecasts will jump in and be like, okay, we're going to see potentially this warmth surge or this cooler water begin to surge in. So good question there for sure. Jared says drier air equals no hurricanes. Works for me. I'm with you, my man. Climate Prediction Center, they put out their like 3-week outlook, and that came out yesterday, and they do not see anything as well. Again, a couple of waves out there. The Atlantic, I don't know if it's ready for them. I just don't know if it's ready for them. And that's why I'm kind of skeptical of a sharp increase in activity. It looked like there was going to be one last August, and then I don't even know if I can't remember if we got a storm or not in August. There was one August recently that we didn't get any storms. It might have been last year. I can't, that's escaping me now. So it's kind of like I'm to the point where I'll believe it when I see it, but there are indications, is a little impulse that may help get things rolling as we move into late September or late July. I don't even know what month it is. Late July, early August. Benny, what's going on in Savannah, Georgia from Skidaway Island? Welcome to the chat room. Let's see. Yeah, if you just Google Undertaker meme, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. It's basically the Undertaker like rising up from like a coffin. It's some WWE thing. I think it's hilarious. but that's how I envision the Saharan dust as the Undertaker here, because it is I don't know. Elizabeth's asking if there's any rain in the first week of August. That is a little too far out. I've not looked out that far. I would imagine that there will be to some degree. We'll probably slide back into our normal kind of pattern. Melissa is asking any kind of rain in New Smyrna Beach. I don't think over the next couple of days. I think we're dry tomorrow. I think we're dry on Saturday, and I think we're dry on Sunday. The best opportunity, I mean, you may get a stray downpour sneaking in from the west over the weekend. That's it. It is going to be super dry. All righty, guys. I got to run. I'm up against the end of my time. I have to get ready for the 10 o'clock newscast. I'm kind of topping the show. If you guys want to see the latest future radar and get the best news and weather coverage in Central Florida, do me a favor. Stay on our News 6 YouTube page, or better yet, download News 6 Plus. Does anybody on here have News 6 Plus? If you're watching on clickorlando.com or on YouTube, let me know if you have News 6 Plus. Again, that is a free download. That's a free download, and you can get a lot of these loops. What I showed during the commercial break, that is always on, and I update those whenever we have active storms so that you can pay close attention to them and you can get those updates right when you fire it up. So it's pretty cool. It's a great tool to stay informed, and if you're outside of our local Central Florida area, you can still get our signal because it's streaming and that's the cool thing to do. Alrighty, guys, I got to run. I think I went over. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 9:30, or in like 3 minutes at 10 o'clock. Peace out, guys. Have a great night.